Modern conversation intelligence has shifted from recording calls to interpreting those signals. So AI now detects deal risk, missed discovery, competitive pressure, and messaging gaps directly from customer conversations. I was in one of our certification calls and somebody asked about how can I go through, my recording and find out what I'm missing. And I have set up a GPT of my own that I've had for quite some time that after every call that I have, like a discovery call or a sales call, I put it through my GPT. And in that GPT, I ask, what questions did I not answer? Because that happens. Sometimes we don't answer the questions, and it's not on purpose. We just missed it. I also ask, what objections came up that I could have handled better? How can I talk to this person in a way that they'll hear me better in the future? Because now we have an idea of how they talk, of how they speak, so that I can not necessarily mirror them back, but it is my job, my duty, my obligation to be able to deliver information to them in the way in which they will understand it faster and quicker. And that's yet another way that AI truly helps with that messaging gap. So this truly changes how leaders can manage a pipeline. You move from subjective confidence to actual observable behavior. From, yeah, that sounds good type of coaching to systematic improvements. This is where many AI strategists really stall. Trust. Executives must also be able to answer 4 questions before scaling AI. How much effort can a seller realistically put into prompting? How will trust in AI output be established? What error rate is acceptable at each stage of the sales cycle? And then who owns accountability when AI goes wrong? Have you guys thought about these questions? I feel that these map very well to within our own certification of how we look at setting up pilots. And you can think of this as a pilot. Any questions so far? Anything?
I will tell you that this is a conversation that we had last night when we're building an example, chatbot solution for a potential customer. And one of the questions near the end of this long discussion was, okay, so we've built this solution, but it's all under the person who built it. How does that person move it to the eventual owner? Is that a consultant? Is that the customer themselves? Who's going to maintain it? So that ownership question, I mean, we had, it was a good 10 to 15-minute conversation just about that ownership. And then how do you transfer ownership of all this stuff that's been done in the background and then move it over to somebody who can actually, be an administrator for it, manage it somewhat, and then reach out, to the person who developed it at the end of it. So that
Yeah.
trust also is like, AI ain't going to sell itself. Somebody has to trust the human that the human is not lying about what AI can and potentially will do for the customer. So
100%, 100%. And yes, AI should assist decisions, not actually automate outcomes, right? It's the human. Somebody has to own that truth to be able to then use AI, just like you said. Love that. Love that. Thank you for that. So sales organizations are transforming more frequently than ever. And at the same time, willingness to absorb change is declining because people are throwing all these different things at them all the time. And this isn't just in sales. This is in any organization, right? Where it's like, yes, we want to move forward with AI, but it's changing so rapidly, and we tried this, and AI doesn't work for us. It just means you haven't been shown the right framework in which to evaluate how AI can and will work for you when you put the right framework in place. So Gartner data shows only a small fraction of sales transformations succeed without hurting productivity. Again, because they're chasing tools instead of chasing customers. AI strategies that ignore human capacity or incentives and fatigue will eventually fail, regardless of the technical sophistication. So you can have the world's best tech, but if you don't know, which kind of AI is that, but if you don't know how to use it, then it's just a waste. One of the most damaging gaps in sales organizations right now is actually the absence of a clear enablement charter. And when I heard Gartner say that, I was like, I get to put this within my organization. I must admit that I do not have one, and I will be working on it, and I will share it within the community as soon as it's done. I have a draft, but it's not finalized yet. Because without a charter, AI initiatives become totally scattered, and then pilots multiply, and then tools overlap, and it just becomes chaos. We want to get out of the chaos. And a charter will actually define one thing very clearly, which seller behaviors must change to produce the business outcomes that the leaders want within the business. So AI should exist in service of that charter and nothing else. To avoid disruption without impact, Gartner also outlines a precision transformation model. And the reason I am actually sharing this model with you is because it actually coincides so well with our own transformation model that we use here within Chief AI Officer. This came out within Gartner within the last week. What we've been doing here at Chief AI Officer, we've been doing for a few years. And yes, we continue to refine it and change it a bit, but my jaw dropped when I saw this from Gartner, because I was like, wow, that is exactly what Chief AI Officer is teaching and training our Chief AI Officers to do. So you want to be able to diagnose the problem with data. You want to assess risk before scaling. If we have chaos and then we just scale the chaos. It doesn't become easier. It becomes a nightmare. We want to choose launch sequencing intentionally, right? We want to be intentional. Yes, we want to move fast. Yes, AI moves fast, but we still get to be intentional in what we're doing. We want to build consensus with evidence. Makes sense. Let's grow on what the facts are, what they have been, and where we see that we can take this. And then we want to track continuity after it goes live. Here at Chief AI Officer, we also our CAIOs have a piece of software that they use with each one of our clients that tracks that continuity, so that we know what's going on. So this model exists to protect revenue while transformation also occurs. And not just because I'm in sales am I saying revenue to protect revenue. Too many people are flushing hundreds of thousands of dollars down the toilet because of consultants trying to adapt the business model to what they say is the answer. That shouldn't be the case. You shouldn't have to change your business model. AI is a tool to adapt your own business model. Now, if your business model is broken, that's a whole different situation. That's a whole different story. But it's here is your business model, and here's how we can use AI to accelerate and truly grow your business where you want to go. Discipline in sequencing is non-negotiable. So we want to start with internal, low-risk use cases that reduce seller friction. Again, this isn't just in sales either. We go in, we look at what is possible within your organization, and we start off with a low risk use case. And we get those small wins so that the trust, that comes back to a couple slides ago, so that trust also comes in so that we can move to bigger, greater outcomes. We want to move to a decision to support that influences pipeline outcomes for sales, and only then introduce customer-facing automation. Too many people, and Joel, you've probably seen this with all the people that you talk to about automation and chatbots. They want to just put a chatbot on their page without thinking it through. We have to test things behind the scenes for a little bit if we're going to have some customer-facing automation. I've also seen companies who, there aren't many of them that are this sophisticated that have really started automating all sorts of things. There's a break there. There still has to be a human in the loop, because at some point an automation breaks, and then a customer either like their question didn't get answered, maybe they weren't put into the right whatever it was that they purchased, right? They weren't put into that package because the human on the back end thinks, oh, well, the automation is solid. It still needs a human in the loop. It still needs somebody checking it. AI can go off the rails. It can, and it does. It happened to me when I was one of my clients was Jenny Craig, and I was a co-founder of a machine learning company, and it went off the rails a little bit, and I had to get in there right away and like, hey, engineers, I need you to like, I don't know what's going on, but like, I'm waving the red flag over here, do something. And they were able to fix it. If I just sat back and was like, hey, I'm just going to let it go, it could have ended up costing me personally, as a co-founder of that business, millions of dollars. So human in the loop. We are now, let's talk about ROI expectations here. So AI does not magically create revenue. Gosh, I wish it did. But the most reliable gains show up first as productivity, right? Less admin time, better data, faster cycles, quicker ramp. Revenue impact follows only when these gains are sustained and adopted. An executive should benchmark conservatively and adjust based on real performance data. Governance. This is all about governance here. Before scaling AI in sales, governance must be explicit. If you take nothing else away from this time today, governance. Governance is the most important thing, whether you're in sales, you're in marketing, you own a business, you're consulting. Governance, you get to know inside and out. You want to ask questions in regards to sales. What prompting quality is realistic? How is trust measured? What error rate is acceptable? Who owns outgoing optimization? These are leadership decisions. They are not technical decisions. It is not one that we want to leave to AI. It is still a leader leading it and watching the tech. Now, for regulated industries, adapting AI adoption. So in regulated environments, speed must yield to trust. So the winning pattern is internal first AI adoption. You want clear legal alignment and human escalation when confidence drops. So AI should actually strengthen judgment, never bypass it. We all know that AI hallucinates, right? So we want to really understand that. So to conclude, here's the executive playbook. Define the charter, reduce seller friction first, and then pilot with discipline before scaling. And then AI in sales is not about adopting technology. It's about redesigning how revenue organizations perform. That is what I have for you today. So to close, AI in sales is not a technology decision. It is a leadership decision. And the organizations that win will not be the ones that deploy the most tools, but the ones that redesign how sales actually work, reduce friction for sellers. We are human people. Like, take care of your people. Your people are your prospects, your clients, right? Your customers, whatever it is that you call them. You want to reduce friction for them, make it easier for them to buy from you. And then you use AI to reinforce the behaviors that drive that revenue. So again, it's all about governance. It's all about leadership and testing, pilots, making sure stuff works before you actually launch it out there into the world. So thank you so much. I put my QR code there that goes to my LinkedIn. You can also send me an email directly at danny@ChiefAIOfficer.com. Happy to answer any questions for y'all, if there's any.
Just kind of add on to what you're saying about the whole process there. One of the things that impressed the heck out of me with Eaton was that not only did we build a solution for what the one of my peers in the training was asking for. So she said, "This is what I want to do." We did that, but he took it and he said, that's great. We have that solution, but we're also adding in marketing material, employee handbooks on how to do things, frequently asked questions, helpful hints. I mean, like, here's a web page, to showcase this new method of doing what they used to do in a similar fashion before, but it was not great. And then just, it's just mind-boggling how much stuff he did. But to just be able to say that, we're not just delivering the one tool, we're bringing the whole toolbox, and that was amazing. So it's not just about the one thing they're asking for; it's going beyond and just assuming. Look, you're going to want this. You're going to want a user guide. You're going to want a how-to document. Those type things, and that just really put the icing on the cake for me.
Good. Love it. Thank you. Anyone else?
Could I ask kind of a specific, I appreciate what you shared and the whole, like, the holistic approach to this. Just on a practical level, I'm newer to the community. I'm curious if there are any, aside from the big LLMs, if there's any particular tools that you're using in sales, I guess in the meeting recording tools.
Yeah, I mean, Fathom is a wonderful tool on its own, depending on how big your organization is. And I did a presentation about this last month, to where it can help on the coaching side of things, where you put in different things that you want to manage, that you want to watch. So that way we're no longer watching hours of feed from our reps, right? That it can alert us right away if something went off the rails. Even AI goes off the rails, sometimes humans go off the rails, right? Because AI is what we put in it, and we're human. So Fathom is great for that, because you can automatically, hey, I'm looking for this information. It's great. Other tools, obviously, there's agents, we use Go High Level. I'm part of another very, very large organization, and they also use Go High Level, which Go High Level has a bunch of different automations and AI things built into it, which is solid, really good. And then empowering your workforce to make their own GPTs, right? To be able to, that however way they work, that they're able to streamline things. Maybe it's to find data quicker or to find information. Notion is great for that because I can just query, hey, I'm looking for this. I think Chris, our CEO, had shared that something like 40% of the time, and the stats may not be correct, so forgive me there, okay, but it's not a small stat, that it is spent searching for information at work. They're searching versus being able to just query, I need this, and boom, it comes up. So those are just, having a prompt library as well of things that work. Could I answer your question?
Yeah, that's definitely helpful. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Absolutely. Anyone else? All right. Well, I am thankful that you all spent your time with me today. If there's anything in particular that you would ever like me to talk about in regards to sales, feel free to send me a message. I'm happy to do that. I actually will be giving another presentation next week. And right now it's on emotional intelligence. Again, it works for all departments, but emotional intelligence. If one of you want to reach out, many of you want to reach out and say, hey, Danny, I really like something about this, I'm happy to pivot and do something else. But right now, emotional intelligence, because that's something that's so important. Humans have, and we get to remember that AI is a tool for us to use, isn't the tool that thinks for us. If it's thinking for us, then we are doomed as a society. I have very strong opinions about that. Awesome. Oh, great. Yeah, thank you so much, Jill, for putting that in the chat. So there are free Fathom account that she put in there, our own smart cuts that really kind of our own prompt vault as well. Oh, you're wonderful, Jill. Thank you so much for putting all that in there. And absolutely join the community. I suggest joining at the highest level. I get nothing from it. I just know how much value is there. The amount of information, knowledge, wisdom, tip of the spear stuff that is coming out of our CIOs and our community is just pure brilliance. I am so honored to be a part of Chief AI Officer. And yes, thank you so much. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. Thank you, Sherry.
Thank you, Danny. Thank you so much for your time. This was a great presentation, and thank you all for joining. And we'll see you all next week.
Thank you much. Talk soon.
Bye,
Make it a great day,
everyone.
y'all. Bye-bye.